she says. All right, I tell her. And it happens. The next thing I know, we're kissing, and unlike the time when my mother kissed me and I came away wondering what the big deal was, I'm fairly well loose-kneed with the absolute thrill of Beth's lips on mine. When we finish, I ask her whether I did it right. This is how comfortable I feel with her, how safe. This is how much I trust her as my guide through this uncharted territory. Relax your lips, she says. Don't hold them so tight. I feel a dagger piercing my heart and anger constricting my throat. I failed at this most important, most essential juncture in my life, and I'll be doomed to years of loneliness. People will take one look at me and know the truth. They'll whisper it among themselves. Doesn't know how to kiss. But then, before I can move away from her, Beth kisses me again, and because she catches me off guard, because I have no time to worry about my performance, this kiss is all response. My lips forming themselves to hers, this kiss is soft, warm, unhurried, the kiss I've been needing since the first time my father whipped me with his belt and my mother did nothing to stop him. It's been our habit, as long as I can remember, these whippings. My father is quick to anger, and I'm not exactly blameless. I'm often stubborn, defiant, easily frustrated, full of sass. I'm often too much like him. People will tell me, long after he's dead, that there was a time when he was good-natured and agreeable, and although there are glimpses of this man as my father ages, for the most part he's brittle and full of temper. I'm clueless to what I now know. The fact that he spent the last 26 years of his life trying to relearn who he had been before the farming accident that cost him his hands and changed him forever. By the time I'm 13, I can't remember ever seeing my parents touch with affection. They don't hug, don't kiss. There are no flirtatious caresses or pats, as I sometimes witness between my friends' much younger parents. To me, my mother and father are old and humdrum. There is nothing sensuous about them, nothing voluptuous. They have no spice, no juice, no ardor or thrill. Once in winter, I saw a young man in Yankee Woods sitting on top of a picnic table, his face wrapped with bandages, 2 holes left for his eyes. My father was driving us through on a Sunday, and suddenly there was the young man just sitting there, a mummy in the cold. Now, after Beth kisses me this second time, I'm thinking of that man, how frail and alone he looked, how even then I hoped that he had someone in his life to love him. Better, Beth says. We'll keep practicing. Then she takes my hand and we walk on through the forest, and I feel blessed, not knowing that she is only the first in a line of girls, the ones that I hope will save me from my father's rage, my mother's meek reserve, and show me how to love. The Chicagoland Forest Preserves are where people go when they have something to hide. The police find bodies there. They find women who have been raped and strangled, women with their throats cut or with gunshot wounds to their heads. Each morning, my father buys a Sun-Times from Tony's corner store, and I catch glimpses of headlines. Torso found, suburban slaying, forest preserve mayhem. I know there's a nighttime Yankee Woods, perverse and dangerous. I know what men are capable of doing. I was 10, the summer that Richard Speck broke into a student nurse's dormitory and killed 8 young women. I know there's a darker side to those first sweet kisses that Beth and I share, but for the time being, that side, one driven by lust and greed, is foreign to me. I ask nothing of her, make no demands. Our hands come together on our walks through Yankee Woods. We stop and kiss. All this is done without prompting and through mutual consent. I suppose I should be embarrassed now. How sentimental I am, going on and on about a first kiss, but I can't manage it. When I look at that boy and girl kissing in the dark shade, walking out into bright sunlight, I feel a great tenderness for them and the affection that they share. They will never again be this age, never again be this innocent. They're still children, really, but just barely. And because I know now everything they have to lose, I want them to linger in the cool woods forever, to be always that age. All the boy wants is to be in this place with this girl. And if they end up kissing, that's fine. And if they don't, that's fine too. The girl feels completely safe to be alone with him, hidden in these woods where sometimes horrible things happen to women. One evening, I come home from Yankee Woods and find my father and mother in the kitchen of our one-bedroom apartment. My mother is at the stove frying fish sticks for our supper. The school day done, she's changed into a cotton house dress and taken off her necklace and clip-on earrings. She's removed her stockings, and her bare calves are spidery with varicose veins. She's 59 years old. She stands with one hand on her hip, a spatula in her other hand, her back already starting to curve into the stoop that will continue to pull her forward into her old age. Our apartment smells of fish. The hot grease pops and splatters. My father is sitting at the kitchen table. His reading glasses slip down on his nose, the point of one hook just beginning to unfurl the centerfold of a Playboy magazine. For an instant, before he raises his head and sees me, I catch a glimpse of airbrushed flesh, a golden and naked hip marked only by the white tan line a bikini bottom has left. I've never in my life seen such a sight, and I'm absolutely stunned because I've seen it now in our kitchen, where my mother is frying fish and my father is trying to act as if nothing out of the ordinary is happening. What's that? I say, pointing to the magazine, even though I know darned well what it is. My father tries to shield the glossy cover with his arm, but I can see a blonde-haired woman in a football jersey, its hem rising up on her naked legs. It's oddly delicious for me to catch my father peeking at naked women. Though he's always been a gruff man, coarse and often vulgar with language, this is the first time that I've seen him demonstrate any sexual curiosity. He's guilty and he knows it. I've got him with the goods. He tries to shift the focus of blame to me. You're late, he says, but I won't let him off the hook. It's a Playboy, I announce. You're looking at a Playboy. My mother bangs her spatula against the rim of the frying pan. He bought it at the Pick and Save. Her voice is tight, barely reining in her disgust. Honestly, the idea. Now I'm caught between feeling a wink-wink camaraderie with my father and a miserable embarrassment because this is all happening, this voyeurism, in the company of my mother, a demure woman who must be appalled that her husband would bring this magazine into her home and display it there in her kitchen. Even now, it's hard for me to imagine what my father must have been thinking. He knew as well as I how decorous my mother was, a woman in her 50s by the time the sexual revolution hit, a woman who had spent the first 41 years of her life living at home with her parents. I have a photograph of her as a young woman about to graduate from high school in 1928. She's wearing a simple dress, its blouse long-sleeved and loose-fitting, adorned with no fur collar, beads or bows like the dresses of her classmates. She wears no necklace or brooch or lace. Her hair isn't Marcel. In fact, she's wearing a hairnet, its black elastic band visible on her forehead. Her hands are folded in her lap. She tips her head down, her eyes barely meeting the camera's lens. This is the way I think of my mother. This is the girl I imagine she always thought she was, shy and plain. I doubt that she ever believed she was pretty, even though her face had delicately drawn features, and her neck was long and slender, and her skin was smooth and turned a golden brown in summer. How demeaned she must feel this evening in our kitchen while my father looks at naked young women. I've just come from one of my sweet walks through Yankee Woods with Beth, and I stand there feeling something I'm unaccustomed to feeling after leaving her, aroused and ashamed. Though I don't know it then, I'm at one of those points beyond which life will be different for me. I can't say it's my father's fault, but it's the fact that he brought that playboy into our home that lures me toward the carnal and the lewd. It's there on the table, the way the Sun-Times might be, or the Farmer's Almanac that my father always consults before planting his garden. It's right there, and because I've seen him looking at it, I believe that I have a right to it too. But my mother is frying those fish, and soon we'll sit around our kitchen table and have to face one another. As much as I want to be able to do that without shame, I'm drawn by something stronger. Call it curiosity or lust, and I can't turn away from it. I'm at the end of innocence. This is what happens to boys. They discover the world of the body, and after that, they are never the same around women. I want to see it, I say to my father. You don't have any business with it, he tells me. You were looking at it. I move closer to the table. I want to see it too. I pick up the magazine, barely able to believe that I'm holding it in my hands. Already I'm moving toward my room. My mother turns from the stove and her eyes meet mine. I see the hurt in them, the disappointment, the anger. You're surely not, she says. And at first I'm not sure whether she's saying this to me or to my father. I wait for him to erupt in anger. I listen for the sound I know so well, the jangle of his belt buckle as he unfastens it, the whish the belt makes as he pulls it from his trousers loops. But all I hear is the fish frying and my father's sigh. I don't suppose it'll hurt him, he says, and I go to my room and close my door.